Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Demacia Cup Day 2 rolls on. I am 4x4. It's a pleasure to be here alongside my color caster today, AlkBattery. We got EDG, LGD. Both went 1-0 so far, so they're both
Yeah.
kind of on that little precipice of, okay, just a couple more games, got to take care of business. But EDG, with FPX falling, big opportunity to just take care of business and win this group.
If they can win this one, then they're in a pretty good spot to try to win. I'm taking a look at our schedule. If actually we could just get the schedule bracket kind of shown up on the screen, I want to make sure that everybody who may be just joining us as well, we can take a look at the kind of show. So this match is really big. So not only can LGD, if they win this game, they'll go up 2-0, and then LG with FPX already locked out and them having the head-to-head record versus EDG and BLG, they will be locked in for that first place. But EDG winning makes this group really wide open all of a sudden. So if for everybody else, for BLG, they are looking like they are the biggest EDG fans of all time right now, as they are trying to make sure that they can keep their dreams alive of making it into the bracket stage.
I'm glad you brought up that tiebreaker. Yeah, because unfortunately, it could mean that the last two games that we and I get to cast are just kind of for vibes. And look, the Demacia Cup is a vibes-based competition. We all know this, but we'd like to have a little more stakes as the day goes on. I think it's fair to say that EDG, I think I view them as favorites. You've been here a little longer than I have. Would you view them the same way?
With what they played like today, they played all right today. I mean, this group is really fun, so I kind of labeled this group as the up-and-comers, some of the future stars, potentially, for a lot of them. EDG picking up some players that have had some pretty high highs, specifically Angel, who ended up making it to Worlds in 2020, but Worlds Finals, I should say, in 2020. But for the rest of these players, these have been kind of journeymen who have had not particularly like amazing highs here in the LPL and are kind of looking to maybe make their name here on a historic organization. And for EDG, they themselves are trying to find some kind of footing after, similar to RNG in the past couple of years, they've kind of had a fall from grace, replacing a lot of their rosters very hastily sometimes in between splits. So I think they're still trying to figure out how they want to build their organization coming into the LPL split, and what that even means. What does EDG even mean for LPL in 2025? And this roster, they played well against FPX, but from what we just saw from FPX now and what we saw in the first game of the day, FPX are looking like they're going to be a bit slow starters going into 2025.
Yeah, I think they like you said, they're another org that, like you said, like EDG, learning how to navigate new waters, right? There's a salary cap introduced in the LPL, the heights that they achieved, right? EDG, such a massive legacy org. I'll never forget the reaction when they won World of 2021. You got people out in the streets waving flags. Like, it just means more if you're an EDG fan. Into Champ Select we go, though. Facing off against LGD. If you want stakes, if you're a neutral observer, you're rooting for EDG. That'll keep the group, like I was saying, wide open. So far, though, Aurora still being very, very highly prioritized. Skarner going to be taken away as well from Xiaohao, and the Akali going to be ripped away there from XQW.
Yeah, so I want to see what we get as finally Skarner is banned. I don't have to watch another Skarner game. This does mean Victor makes it through, so I know I appreciate you for kind of getting up in the middle of the night for us to kind of get this show on the road. If we get another Victor game, I'm apologizing to your wife. I'm sorry, we are going to be here for a while.
Yeah, we're going to be here for a little bit. Look, it's all good. We'll figure out the details like soundproofing later, and there's our twink friend. Locked in B1 immediately. Oh, okay. Now I'm learning the lock-in animation. Okay, now I know. Caster No 101 is talking about hovers. So it will be the Rumble. Again, high priority. We saw it in the last game, and what that was able to do, just be an absolute terror, getting ahead early, dealing an unacceptable amount of damage. On the other side here, Udyr has seen some priority, right? Kind of coming back into the fold here. We got some play last year, I should say, as well as Sasa gonna lock that one in. Kalista was hovered earlier. Fine to opt for a support on R3 should they lock in the Kalista.
Exactly. This matchup versus Rumble is so free. I know that like when we first had Rumble and then Cassante come in, Udyr just kind of walked up and was like, Actually, I'm the real top boss here, so kind of a tough look here. Udyr also can be flexed into jungle. We'll see if Climber is going to be opting for that, but assuming that Sauce should be going for it. And with this Kalista locked in, you can go for support on 3. I think depending on what LGD wants, they might want to be looking for their jungle. I think there are a lot of different support options you can take, so I think really trying to get a priority jungle in that manner might be a bit more important for LGD, as we see EDG going for big magic damage and really great team fight already with the Rumble and the Victor on their side. I think either looking for an engaged jungler, I think Wukong would do very well. However, maybe they're looking for someone with a little bit more dueling prowess. We have been seeing Viego get picked up a few more times, and especially with the Victor, I think you have a lot of chances for a reset.
Yeah, no, I agree with you there. The Wukong will be locked in there. Yeah, what you think of when you think of, obviously, the hot pot combo, the Jarvan. I think every jungler worth their salt is going to have a Jarvan in their back pocket, but when the Wukong is available and as strong as he is right now, I love this combo. Yeah, you've got yourself a really powerful top side, like you said, heavily indexing into magic damage, but you've got kind of an early and late game bridge as well, right? Rumble can dominate. Like you said, this matchup should be him favored, but on the other side, it will be the Renata Kalista, that will be locked in. So it's not quite, Kalista Nautilus, it's a bit of a different flavor, but obviously Renata achieving this pair of Kalista time and time again.
Very aggressive bottom lane, so I want to see what EDG can do to match some of the aggression. I don't think Awesome is going to be pulling out a Draven anytime soon, but fingers can be crossed here. Like this from LGD, getting rid of some of the engaged junglers here, and the Nocturne ban kind of tells me that they are expecting for this Udyr to be going in the top lane, so wondering what the picks here for LGD are going to be. A lot of mid lane mages still available. We've seen Azir be really high priority so far, and wouldn't be surprised to see XQW go for it considering what we saw from them in their first game.
The Ashe is taken away from Awesome, like you said. There's a couple picks that are rolling around in your head last year on an okay team. Actually had a lot of success on the Ashe and the Zeri, combined 6-2 on both those champions. Everything else negative win rate, really just a product of the team, if nothing else. And there's that easier priority, like you were talking about.
Okay. Nocturne gone. I mean, you could still play Orianna here. Yeah. It's not going to be fantastic. Looks like they're going to just try and give R5 over to the mid lane. Climber picking up the Xin Zhao, so going to be very aggressive. I like this from LGD. I think with the bottom lane that they have, you really want to try to index on having a very hard winning bottom lane, and maybe even a mid 2v2 that's pretty dangerous. Victor's damage early on, despite them giving him some numbers tweaks, is not quite there.
Yeah, very interested. I'm glad they didn't lock in the Misfortune, because that, to me, I feel like indexes a little too much into, hey, the Wukong's got to land a big ult, and then everybody's got to press R, right, at the same time, or you are up the creek without a paddle. Now, the Eco would have helped that out, but it will be Awesome and Wink. They almost drafted in order there, Alk. But then Eco support, I think, right, barring Victor, we haven't discovered the Dark Victor support tech just yet. And on the other side, if Silas is the hover here, you've got a lot of fantastic ultimates to lock it. I actually really like this in this composition.
So I wonder how this interaction works, because if this is how I think it is, Victor ult stolen doesn't get upgraded, so he doesn't get the ult that like eventually gets bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then that's great. Silas is a great lane matchup. Victor is a very immobile champion and also kind of has a bit of a weaker laning phase. It's once you get past the first couple minutes of the game that you kind of have a bit of an easier time playing. But yeah, this is tough, I think, for LGD. When you look at their roster right now, like, you have a lot of winning lanes. You have a mid lane matchup that's great for you. You have a top lane matchup that's great for you. You have Kalista, Renata. Any one of these lanes goes wrong, and suddenly EDG can really hit on the bounce back. Their team is more of the ticking time bomb. As the game goes on, I'm going to favor them further and further, but they can be a team that's incredibly fragile as well.
And so we're going to see that, right? And like you said, what is Climber going to do, right? He's been a jungler that's been kind of highly respected. This is kind of the shot to take his next step here. Played with XQW as well, so you're hoping there's a little bit of that mid-jungle synergy comes out. But where are you looking to actually get ahead? You talked about it, right? There are going to be a couple lanes that are going to be more key than others, but you've got some winning lanes on the side of LGD. Where are you looking? I know you mentioned that bottom.
Yeah, the bottom lane is a big one, and it's funny because when you look at top lane, you think of like, okay, as like a fellow broadcaster, and you just look at it just like holistically. If top lane has Renekton, probably playing for grubs. If top lane has Rumble, probably playing for grubs. You're playing into an Udyr, so you might just lose the grubs. typically you say the trade, hey, look, let's go for the bottom lane. Okay, well, we're playing Ezreal Nico, so double ranged into Kalista Renata. We don't win the all-in. The only way we're going to win as EDG from a bot lane perspective, if you're trying to go like a very early aggressive strategy, is you need to have this double range bot lane, land all of their poke, and make sure that Xiaoyi does not get to play the game.
Yeah, exactly. You got to essentially take him out of any sort of trades that he might want to take, and with good positioning and a well-timed handshake as well, right? Because that's also the big thing, right? Kalista, we're not so strong, but those cooldowns early on, right? It's very important, like you said, for Awesome and Wait to be hitting their shots, but for Xiaoya and YCX, that is equally important as well. But like you said, they're expected to kind of have the shove here, and so it seems to me, Alec, like we might get a bit of a kind of, I don't know, scripted is the right word, but that's what I'm going to use for now. Early game, like you said, just with the priority on either side of the map, to be able to trade those objectives kind of on cooldown.
See what Climber's able to do. He was such a big driver for this team coming into their first series versus BLG Junior, and if he's going to continue to play through like this, I really would love to see him. And you see at the bottom of your screen, great advertisement for the new Victor skin, which, hey, guess what? Angel is doing just that. He is playing this skin, and I keep seeing all of the, like, the league kind of the skin spotlight kind of camera ops that they have for the skin, and all the Victor skins, they're just so tiny. He's so fragile. Look at him. He still looks, he's like a little wisp. He looks like Renata.
No, he kind of does. I literally was thinking exactly that. I saw the model and I had to check the nameplates one more time. I'm like, wait a minute. This is a different three-letter later. Yeah, no, it feels like a stiff breeze could blow him over. He's like Flat Stanley. You turn him sideways. Oh, Victor, there you are.
I will say he definitely embodies more of the Season 2 Victor, for sure, as we're getting another lane swap here. Again, our LDL representative coming in. Last time it was BLG Junior versus LGD who's pulling it out, and this time around, trying to avoid this bottom lane matchup, instead saying, look, as the Kalista Renata, typically we win the 2v2, but Nico and Ezreal is really difficult for us to deal with. Let's go ahead and try to swap these lane matchups, make sure that we're getting gold away from these two carries, and now they're even doing a pretty great job. Once they hit level 3, I think that's going to be the big point for them, as making sure that they can swap back in, making sure that they're getting gold for themselves. Already, YCX has made the roam on down here, but he's going to be alone. I think it's a bit tough for him to actually pick up any of this gold and experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, I recognize why you're down there, right? Trying to just get something back if you can. But it's a 3v1 right now on the bot side, and even without Xiaohao looking over there. Now, finally going to get the TP in to try to pop back in. As Sasa actually going right in immediately. Pop this Oscar trying to get the DPS down onto YCX. His homie was there, and it made absolutely no difference. But now Sasa able to get decent wave down, but as he's thinning this out, he's able to flash away from the damage from Awesome, and it doesn't matter at all.
Wow, okay, so not only does Xiaoya not stay top lane, he's not going to be able to pick that up. It's so many kills going over to EDG. They messed up the swap there. Great job from EDG to apply so many kind of measures. ZDZ was sitting down there. Xiaohao actually tailored his pathing to make sure that he ended on the bottom side of the map here. He does his topside camps, moves straight in, does Raptors, immediately moves for this play, and YCX has zero counterplay to this. He already used his Q, he already used his E, so doesn't have any of the bailout, and usually with the Udyr, he's similar to like the Jax we were seeing in the side lanes for all of this year. He's a champion that can be very robust in a side lane by himself, especially in a lane swap, but when there's 4 members, it's just way too much damage with how much range they have.
No, exactly. There are ways to play around it, but I think to be fair, you kind of needed everybody you could get, because that's another thing that makes him so, I mean, not what makes him robust, but I think it makes him a bit of a menace in the side lane, is he can thin waves in, you know, the blink of an eye. So as that wave was kind of taken down, even at level 3 or level 4, whatever he was at the time, I was taken by surprise. I was like, oh, dude, they gotta, you know, chop, they gotta get something going here.
Great job of using the damage, so they're going to swap back into these lanes. They've already kind of made good on that. Xiaoya, though, you look at the item discrepancy, not a completed boots here for the Kalista, something that she has to use with her martial poise, and you look in bottom lane, I mean, Awesome already has the sheen. Ooh, Angel, the flash.
Able to go right in, got the knockup, expended the flash, but that is absolutely worth it. Now he's on the board, 1 kill for him, the LGD jungler on the board. But going back to what you were saying, Alk, I wholeheartedly agree, Sheen tier feels phenomenal as a first back for Ezreal.
You're just going to run them down. There's no actual stats here. It's just going to be a lot of ability haste, and I think you're fine with that. The amount of damage this champion can kind of rank out, and great job coming out from LGD in the mid jungle there, as finding the flash, forcing the teleport out from Angel. Hopefully this means for XQW that he will be able to get a small experience advantage lead moving into the mid lane. And now with no flash, anytime that that wave is pushed over the halfway mark, we're going to be looking towards Silas to be trying to be very aggressive in the laning phase. Has the Hextech alternator, so opting for more of those burst trades. Every single time it's off of cooldown and you have the spells, you should be looking to try to poke out this Victor.
And these trades are going to be really fun to watch, right? As the Dragon has come up now, and this is what we expected, right? Xiaoya and YCX able to get first purchase onto the Dragon side of things, but then on the other side, it is still Sasa that is able to go over and like you said, kind of take this matchup. Now, where does the jungler come in? That's the other question here, right, Climber? Opting for the grubs initially here. I guess I feel fine about that, right? Like, you've got, look, these are going to be pretty important here as the game goes on. XQW and Sasa both going to be phenomenal side lane threats. You could set up into 1-3-1, and that could be your way over. Good priority put on that early. YCX, again, getting bullied out of his bottom lane. We've seen this movie before, Alk, but Xiaoya, don't think he's going to get dove here. Everybody else kind of waiting around, making sure that they don't lose purchase on that bot river.
I love what we were just getting there from Wink. I think played the part of the Nico very, very well, disguises himself as Xiaohao, and then moves in and is able to kind of apply pressure on the bottom side, saying, oh, look, not only is Nico here, potentially there's even a real Wukong sitting in Fog of War for ourselves. Great job there. It is going to turn into, not even the Dragon started, I think maybe afraid that Climber could be in the area. So EDG are not going to get the Dragon. They're going to lose out on those grubs, and they never even actually got this bot dive in. It's going to be a kind of a soft relaunch here for Xiaoya in this bot lane for LGD.
We'll see what they can come back with. I don't think they're going to take a reset necessarily, or maybe they do. Maybe they're just trying to shove this one in, get to that big level 6 mark. And then opt for a safer fight because, you know, like you said, EDG didn't walk away with anything, but they lit up the, they lit up the Baron or the bot river pretty good there, right? Between the Scuttle Crab, the Vision Ward they put on the Banana Brush, etc. And now that wave not able to get crashed all the way in, but Wink able to soak in a decent amount nonetheless. Level 6 going to matter a little bit more for the, should Xiaoya show up to the map. Hang on a second here. Speaking of level 6, just standing out the wave.
I would like the recall right now.
Don't look at what might be happening on the other side of the map, but I have to be somewhere. You don't know where I'm going.
Look, that's kind of, I always find it really funny when we have champions like Rumble who are able to do this, because they're just like, all right, I don't care about the minion wave. Similar with like a Misfortune when they're like about to get dove, or they don't want to bother with that wave. They're like, I'm using ultimate, it's not going to be important. I'm going to say that my ultimate is worth the trade of you having to either collect this minion wave or be late to an objective trade here. So already ZDZ making sure that he catches this wave. He's going to have an item advantage over his opponent, but I don't think Sasa really cares at this moment. He's going to walk down the river and try to look for something.
I'm still down for Angel, and XQW is making it his problem. Gravity well dropped. They're actually able to get him on the tip. There is Climber, so not able to pop in, but with the Crescent Guard would have been a tricky engage regardless, but XQW, probably more crucially than anything, walking away with a Nico ult.
Yeah, big trade there, as now they're going to be able to find this. Angel still no flash in the mid lane. Could be some kind of kill if they find it. And for the side of EDG, still no Dragon taken, so I think we're going to get a very similar game to the first one we had between EDG and FPX. That first Dragon not going down until 11 minutes last time around. Yeah, EDG so far have seemed like a much slower team, and I think it's fair for what this team composition player-wise is like. Awesome is someone who definitely has had some better moments on some AD carries, but typically he's not someone who is an incredible laner. We look at Angel, I think of him as mostly a facilitator and someone who I think has a really good ability of being able to play the map. Xiaohao on AL originally was actually someone who I think probably brought a lot to this roster, because he was kind of a driver for action, and with someone like Angel to set him up, there should be a little bit more firepower here for EDG than maybe we're expecting coming into this, but we just haven't quite seen it so far in this group.
The way it's been set up, it's kind of like you were saying, right? ZDZ and Awesome, they are your real threats. I mean, Victor, yeah, actually, post rework, how does he, is he still that late game terror? You mentioned he has a weaker...
yeah. They like buffed his numbers a little bit. They made it easier for him to gain stacks for the Victor bucks, and the big change was for his ultimate. So I think XQW just wants to try to cycle the ultimate, get his. I mean, it's a 20-second cooldown, so who really cares? Probably losing access to that. They're going to lose the dragon. We've got Grub spawning in 15 minutes, or 15 seconds, and we still have big ultimates here. I think it's a very real possibility. We see 6 Grubs coming in for LGD, but instead they want to put all of their eggs into making sure that this bottom lane gets a crash, that this Callista gets that gold in their back pocket, and they can maybe pay a little bit of recompense. Awesome now has fallen behind in this matchup, so Xiaoya could very easily start to kind of jump to a small lead here since they've already started to rotate some of their laners.
You got to give LGD credit. I mean, they seem to have identified, right, what is going to get them over the line in this early game, Xiaoya. And they have, like you said, put basically all the eggs into that basket. But, like you said, even though Awesome has fallen behind a little bit. Hang on a second here. Xiao might be in a little bit of trouble. Sasa, excuse me, actually able to flash away. The Phoenix stance out. ZDZ flashes over. He follows him. Wink popping in with the pop blossom. Very nicely done. ZDZ grabs the kill. He's on the board with this first one of the game.
And there it is now with Grubs in their back pocket. Can they actually trade? They've got 3 members hitting this top tier 1. It's a second plate here coming in. Great split view coming in from our observers. And instead they want to try to find Climber. Tangle Barbs don't find anybody in this play. And XUW,
he commits the flash forward, actually gets the stolen equalizer, but it's responded immediately, and he gets taken off the map. A taste of his own medicine. Gravity Well dropped, almost caught Sasa immediately on the TP back. That would have been an absolute tragedy. She's able to scurry his way out of trouble, and now EDG on. They've taken a firm hold of this one. They're just bullying LGD out of that quadrant of the jungle.
They get kills for it, and they're still going to be able to get this top tier 1. It's not going to be the first turret taken. LGD's bot lane instead really hampering on wanting to get that objective for themselves. But alongside those kills, alongside with some of the summoner spells, no more teleport from Sasa, no flash from our mid and top lane on the side of LGD, we are looking really good in this game if you are Edward Gaming. Angel also as well, kind of being able to be around in that fight. I think that right now with where the map is, with kind of what LGD were trading in that, I think they came out really far behind in that one.
And now you see the pings being hammered onto the top side of the screen. That's completely lit up blue right now. With a minute and 30, right? If you can get your clean recalls out, you see the vision line obviously is going to be pushed up a little bit. But are you playing for that void or the Rift Herald as well? Is that where you're keep on focusing your attention? I guess better put, can they do that in time if Angel can't get his first item? That's kind of what I'm looking at here, right? If that can sync up with the Rift Herald take, that I think is EDG's next play.
For sure. There's a lot here. I think for LGD, they're kind of running in that situation where we said coming in from the draft for EDG, the longer this time goes, as time approaches, the top right of a graph, the more high likelihood that they're able to actually win this game. They have a lot of great range available to them. Callista and the Xin Zhao here for LGD, you really want to try to get some early skirmishing, but this has not really been the case for this team. I think the lane swap kind of maybe threw some of the plans, even though it was their lane swap, they didn't really get an objective lead for their jungler. And while you did avoid the bottom lane matchup, that dive on that tier 1 may have just kind of backfired for them.
Yeah, it certainly seems to have, thrown off the acceleration, right? Or how quickly I expected LGD to be looking for those fights. Like you said, yeah, you got Climber a fight, and a kill there in the mid lane. We might get a fight here, going in with the clone. Xiao able to get forward, pulls right back. As Climber, like you said, every single ultimate available here. It feels like this could be the fight that blows the game open. It's all been on the top side of the map. That's where we're looking. TP is going to come in here from ZDZ. He's got his equalizer, not quite level 11 just yet. But we'll be able to have a big impact on this fight regardless. Angel looking for a flank. Angel, Xiao able to get the Cyclone down, but there goes the Callista ult. Rumble using the back line here. YCX got to be careful here. He's able to shield himself just a little bit. Stolen Nico ult. Grabbed by XUW, but not able to use. Meanwhile, on the other side, Sasa running riot through the team, but his team can't help him out. Double kill on the other side for ZDZ. Pops it at the perfect time on this Rumble.
Great job from ZDZ and Wink. They find a huge fight. Xiao Hao is the one that starts it all, and even without all the mites, they're going to take a mid-tier 1. They can look to try to potentially even contest for the Herald, but I think what they want to do is be able to get some of their gold, some of those items back into their pockets. To take a look in this replay, great Tangle Barbs to set up right for this Wukong. I was worried with the Renata ultimate because I think it has so much value, some of the more mobile members of this EDG team, but seems like it's no sweat off of their back. playing with great respect to this vision. I love this from Wink. There's a control ward in this brush, so it prevents them from seeing the Nico ultimate from over the wall.
I didn't even catch that. No, I'm glad he pointed that out. No, it was very well set up. Wink continuing an upward trajectory, man. It's been, from what I've seen, this is someone to watch, right? We've kind of painted this group as, look, if you're an LDL enjoyer, right? If you are someone who is looking forward to kind of the futures of some of these younger names, especially on some of these legacy orgs, and how they handle that pressure as the objectives are traded on the other sides of the map, right? Wink was a guy that a lot of people had their eyes on.
Wink was, especially for Kilsmoser, she was a big Wink fan. They were someone that unfortunately were on a team that didn't really, or wasn't able to really perform as of last year. They were, this last year, they were on Ultra Prime and Rare Atom, two teams that have been, for the most part, teams that have stuck in the bottom half of the standings when it comes to LPL.
There was that one fun RA year, but that was it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of league orgs, to be honest. They got like one good split, one good year, and then everything else kind of went missing. So happens. But for them, especially when we're talking about this bottom lane, I think when we get Awesome and Wink kind of doing a lot more, there's a potential here for this bottom lane to kind of pop off. Awesome's been someone who I think has been a really consistent AD carry and not necessarily had the high highs or particularly low lows. So I'm looking forward to what he can do with support that is on the come up as a potential up and coming top support.
And I feel like that might not be the worst thing in the world with a roster with ZDZ on it, right? I mean, he's got his highs and his lows, but he is always looking to go forward and make himself kind of the center of attention. And if you've got an AD carry that is fine not being played through, and at worst in some situations, you can count on to just not lose you the game, right? You see the vision for EDG here.
For sure. There's a lot of potential, and I think that's what we'll have to hold out, not only throughout this entire Demacia Cup, but, hey, we have LPL for the rest of the year, and a pretty crazy format. I was talking about it at the end of the game, but you have a lot of teams that if you start slow, very realistically, you just stop playing the game professionally in June, which is really crazy.
Absolutely wild to go half the year not playing, potentially, as Shelly crashes her beautiful head into the bot tier 2. Wingborn Storm going to go out and do a little bit of damage, thin the wave out ever so slightly, but Angel able to get that empowered Q auto and down to finish up the tower. XQW on the other side of things, trying to get something done on that top lane tier 1, but I will say, EDG, they just played the map better in this mid game. They really haven't felt like his Climber has to pop the Crescent Guard, gets half his health taken away in the blink of an eye, taken away pretty much any opportunity you've got for an engage. There's the Chaos Storm, heads into the back line, all the ults being used here. And even as the hostile takeover does come back here, maybe gives LGD a way to back into this one here. Zhao just so low. Big ol' TP. Is it in time? XQW doesn't have any Solar ultimates yet, but he grabs the pop blast. I'm looking to turn this. LGD, he gets 3! Able to turn it around. LGD look dead in the water. The damage comes in on the other side, but it's not enough. Just barely holding on. LGD on the back of a quick snap engaged by their mid laner. Get one back.
And look at how much they had to spend to get a single kill during all of that. So many summoner spells, both flashes from their solo lanes, a TP coming in from XQW. And, I mean, right here, it's already looking a little bit sus. There's no Victor ult anymore. We've kind of invested a lot for this play. After the turret, I think it's just got to be out here. Even Angel's starting to kind of run low on resources. I love this. I think maybe XQW getting a little hype. He's like, oh, that must be just a low HP Ezreal. It's like, wait a minute, there's two of them. Which was the real one? All right, well, doesn't end up going down in that play. Gets themselves the kill for their team, and so finally able to find Awesome. But, I mean, you look at the spikes that are about to come in. ZDZ's almost done with his second item. Muramana almost complete stacking here for Awesome at 19 minutes. Angel's close to his second, potentially finishing the Leandries alongside the Blackfire Torch. So really big items, while LGD are kind of still waiting close to theirs as well. But I would say the fact that they're on parity with their opponents, that we expected for LGD to really try to run away with an early game lead, this is not looking good for their chances.
No, I 100% agree with you, right? That pivot point of when the comps, quote-unquote, should right, be at a point of strength. For LGD, you wanted that to come a little bit later than the 20-minute mark, but right now, the line of scrimmage has been pushed so far back. As I mean, look at, like, the ultimates are being expended just as zoning tools, right? I mean, EDG, the pressure they're putting on with every single click of their R button, and now they just push LGD away, so they got what they came for, a much cleaner version of what they try to do in the mid lane tier 2. And with Baron up in, well, actually, right now, literally just came up. Don't think they're going to go for that just yet, but the Cloud Drake up as LGD, that's their win condition right now. So this is their part of the turf to defend. And the pings are coming down here. They've got to get something set up here because their re-engage potential is really good, right? With the Crescent Guard, with the hostile takeover. You've got a lot of fights that allow you to let the fight come to you and push right back.
For EDG, it's all about stalling out the game, being able to find the objective. Every objective they're able to steal is kind of just like a boon for them as LGD run out of options and things to play for. Coming into this fight, though, I mean, you look at across the board, it's the Trinity Force, the Muramana's done now here for EDG. I don't think you really want to fight right now. You lose access to mid. This Kalista-Renata pair just wasn't able to really get off the ground running, and we can't really see the Victor Bucks quite yet, but I'm just going to assume Angel is really close, if not already done with upgrading all of his spells. So I'm just looking forward to that single team fight where he drops the ultimate, Awesome and Wink find a great engage alongside Xiao Hao, and then the solo laners here for EDG clean up. We need to see LGD with some miracle fights, whether it is coming in from off of a flank with XQW and Sasa, but we haven't really seen much of them on a side lane. They don't get to play side lanes because of how much of the map they've lost.
How much of the map they've lost and how much of the map that EDG has not allowed them to retake. Look, we've only been in kind of this mid-game for a few minutes, but I've been tremendously impressed with how this EDG roster, like you said, we saw the vision, right? And we know that there are some good talents here, some more established, like your ZDCs and your Angels here, as YCX gets caught out, has to burn the flash and the heal, TP expended as well by Sasa. You talk about someone that needs to find an angle potentially in a fight, it's just going to be XQW now if he's trying to be creative with the TP angle. Speaking of cheeky angles, Xiao Hao coming in from the other side of the world. Equalizer goes down, goes in, able to get locked up there by the handshake. Not able to get the R2 there as Climber has to TP or flash away. He gets the heal cut on him. The Ignite goes down, trying to buy some time for the rest of his team. The hostile takeover goes out, but gets really not much at all. 2-for-0. Is that the room they need to go for this Baron?
They've got all 5 members. Climber's not up and available. I think this just has to be their Baron to start. If they take this objective, they'll be able to then use this buff, float comfortably into that dragon that is spawning in 3.5. Seems like LGD, they don't want to go into the night quite yet. They want to try to contest XQW with a Wukong ultimate.
That's actually looking pretty good. We have to play bodyguard, get into the back line here. They do secure the Baron. Crucially, Xiao Hao able to lock that one up. Xiaoya get his first kill of the game. Able to get a big one there onto Wink just for the 5s, but it is a 4-for-1 at the end of the day. You're going to get a replay of exactly how this fight went down. Man, Xiao Hao with the Mondo flank.
Yeah, Xiao Hao's been really, really good so far tonight with being able to find flanks on engaged junglers here, and they just make a really great, really clean play, I think, coming into this, as Victor's now picking up so many kills. He's getting a lot of assists. Those takedowns are really important, and I just love, as an AD carry player, it sucks to see my fellow AD die, but just watch Xiaoya in this fight. Gets hit with the Victor, or gets hit with the Nico, and then walks back up to Victor, boom! Instantly taken out, and that's all the members of LGD gone and dusted as the Baron is in their back pocket. We're 23.5 minutes. I mean, it's perfect timing. They'll have 30 seconds before the dragon spawns. They're already pushing all of these waves, and there's structures missing for LGD. Feels like their time to kind of play this game is already gone and went. 11,000 gold, almost 24 minutes in.
Yeah, what it feels like is kind of where we were 5 minutes ago, right? Where it feels like you're waiting for, like LGD right now, they just got to wait for EDG to make mistakes, right? There was the one Rut-Row moment where they ripped every ult to try to get that mid-tier 2, and XQW was able to get a fantastic engage off right now, and that's kind of what you're looking for right now, because they're playing out the correct side of the map here. Lane assignments are pretty good, right? ZDZ, we haven't really talked about him in a while. He's 5-0-5, 100% KP. He's on 2.5 items. He is the most terrifying member of this team. Already got the anti-heal in, but he gets pushed up against the wall wall here as Sasa looking for a way to go back in. Hostile takeover goes down against the Nico corner. Not much else. Xiao going
Let's
back
go,
in
Osmo.
beautifully. The Plant Blossom followed up on the Cyclone. The stolen Nico ult does jack squat. Awesome trying to pop off, but will be denied by Xiaoya, doing his darndest in these fights, but he really can only get a little bit. It's a triple. They might be able to end here.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be the end of the game. Baron on their backs here, 15-4. Xiaoya, it's been great to see you in this game, but it's just not been quite enough. Great job from EDG to kind of close this one out and reinstill hope in the fan base after what was a disappointing loss coming into FPX.
They needed that. All right, if you're an EDG enjoyer, we talked about the weight that name holds, and they're coming into this with a new look roster again. They had a ball on a budget for the first time in a while. It's not something that EDG fans are used to having. It's not a roster that is going to compete every single time. And against inferior opposition, which that is how EDG view LGD and how I think some of the community views the gap between these two teams, you've got to come in and take care of business. And they absolutely took care of business from the time the lane swaps ended. I feel like there was no
the dive. Like the fact that they got both of those kills was pretty hard, considering Sasa just TP to the wave. They lost so much. Awesome did a fantastic job. I want to correct myself real quick. I said their loss up against FPX. With them winning, this does kind of open up the group a little bit, more specifically for the other teams in the group. FPX are currently no longer able to kind of make that run anymore, even with EDG. Yeah, they're done. Now that EDG have kind of moved on to 2-0, this group is starting to get locked up. With BLG, they can try to take the win up against them, and that'll be the last game of the night.
Yeah, so that's going to be the decider, right? As BLG, they would have to go 2-1, and then the first tiebreaker would be head-to-head. And if they get that over EDG, then on the last day, we could get some shenanigans.
Wait, I suck! I'm so terrible. This is why I'm not trusted with formats, guys. I hate looking at formats. I'm sorry to everybody at home. So, let me just run through this real quick. First match of the day, EDG beat FPX. So 1-0 for EDG. LGD beat BLG. BLG beat FPX. EDG have just qualified for bracket stage, I'm pretty sure.
Wait, really?
Yeah. So this happened yesterday as well. TT went 2-0, they beat JDG, and with the way that their matchup spread kind of went out, they immediately made the last two games of the night just who goes fourth.
Yeah.
I want to double check, so I'm gonna have Lennon, our great person on the side, to kind of get this done. Hopefully he's got this done. We've got post-game screen, but I'm like 65% sure, I would bet channel points on it, no real money, that I'm like kind of sure EDG just locked it up for the bracket. So they'll be going up against Weibo regardless.
Yeah, look, if they haven't locked it up officially, then they are well on their way to doing so. They've just got to dot some I's and cross some T's. They've taken care of probably what should be the most threatening opposition, but we're going to look at the post-game screen here. Yeah, I mean, EDG, they just have, the game against the LDL team, which should be an easy one. Smile. Yeah, but the point to take away, I think, from the post-game screen isn't something that we didn't expect, right? So the damage numbers were absolutely outlandish, right? Again, it felt like LGD weren't allowed to play the game. This is fun, though. Damage per gold. I've seen this on kind of like, the nerds, the sheets that they put together, but you saw how much Awesome was able to do with the gold that he was given. And this was where it all started to go wrong, which is unfortunate because this is like 3 minutes into the game.
This is literally the entire point where we're like, oh, I think actually LGD don't get to play anymore.
Yeah, it's like, is it just cooked here, chat?
Yeah, so they win this fight. Sasa gets caught on like a rotation back in the top lane. He's unable to win this. I love what we got from ZDZ. He's been a player that, while I think had a kind of misfortunate last year on both the Weibo and kind of the other rosters that we saw him, he individually, I think, had a pretty strong showing so far. And glad that he gets to be able to do this so far on EDG as... Oh my god, we even get little observer cam. Look, you can even see the... I want to see if they show the last fight of the game in their base, because Awesome was pumping DPS on Ezreal, and I really want to give him his flowers, as I personally have been kind of low on Awesome in years past. I think he also hasn't had the greatest of supports, but him and Wink so far, I think, have kind of taken it in stride so far and have had a really good start to Demacia Cup.
yeah, as the rest of these fights you see rolling on here, and give credit where credit is due, LGD didn't kind of take the game lying down, especially, you know, sadly, the two solo laners for LGD, they were looking for every opportunity they could to get back in the game. Now you're going to get a look at Awesome here, right? Like you were saying in the back line, he's got 20 to 30 spears sticking out of him, but he knows only one direction on this Ezreal, and it's forward. Now, again, it's easy to look good on a game where, you know, the rest of your team was kind of popping off, and, you know, but you still got to hit all those skill shots, right? You don't get a damage graph as high as he did without executing on this champion. The game probably would have been fine even if he played a mediocre one, given what ZDZ was doing. Angel was playing solid as the victor, but this was just everything clicking at the right time for EDG.
You don't get 200% damage per your gold without playing well, in my opinion. So hopefully this is taking a look at the player of the game. I think rightfully so. If there was ever a time for a jungler to get any praise, I think Xiaohao this game was really proactive. He found really great engages, and I mean, we talked about the level 3 dive on the bottom wave. We were talking about the engage, flanking them from behind them in mid lane. Really great stuff coming out from the jungler here, and someone who is kind of, I think, on the rise considering he's been on some lower end teams in years past.
Yeah, and for LGD, again, you've got some ways to go here, right? You see, you know, a little bit of what they're trying to do, but like you said, with the EDG, this is a fantastic